Hello everyone, and welcome to my live interview. This is the very first one, so I'm super excited and I'm just waiting for my guest actually, which hopefully I will see very soon. So let's give it a couple of seconds, okay? Perfect. So that should be ready, and Stepanka should be joining us very soon.
Hello, can you see me?
I
Hi,
can
Monika.
see you, yes. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good,
And
good.
you?
I am really good too. Perfect. Yeah, if you can try and shift your camera so that we have you in the middle because you're sort of a bit to the side.
Am I?
Can you see me?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I think Facebook actually cut me off a little bit with
yeah,
with the
yeah,
dimension a little bit.
yeah, exactly. But that's okay because you're here, so perfect, brilliant. So I'm going to welcome everybody who's going to be watching. Come and join us, okay? And today I'm really pleased to introduce you all, actually, Stepanka Kuralova, who is a hypnotherapist, and she does hypnocoaching as well. So today we are going to be talking about the hypnotherapy and what it is actually, and how it can benefit people. Because to be honest, I'll be honest with you, I've heard a little bit about it and I've read a little bit about it, but it's always different when someone actually who does it tells you and explains to you how it all works. Okay? So, excuse my coughing, I'm still recovering with not being well, so I will try not to cough at all, okay? But anyway, thank you so much for joining me, Stepanka. I'm so pleased to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Monika. Thank you. Really excited about this.
Me too, me too. So let's share a little bit about what it is, etc., etc. But let's go right to the beginning, okay? Because every story begins with sort of twist and sort of turning points and, some kind of challenges and everything. So I'm sure that where you started and how you got to where you are, there were some ups and downs. So can you share with us a little bit about your life journey?
Okay, so obviously at the moment I am a clinical hypnotherapist and women's empowerment coach. However, I have also qualified in neuro-linguistic programming, and my approach has been influenced by cognitive behavioral therapy as well as cognitive behavioral hypnotherapy. But like you said, it didn't happen. It wasn't straightforward at all. My journey was quite long until I got to this point, and really, since I was a little girl, I was so interested in psychology and even in hypnosis, even though it's not a common thing, I can't remember seeing like a film or anything, but I was so fascinated by it. I wanted to know, what the human mind is capable of and, what we can achieve by using our full potential. And I even have memories when I was like maybe 7 years old. I was playing with my cousin, the same age, and I was pretending I'm hypnotizing her. And it was just since I was little, really fascinated, really interested in all of that.
Yeah.
And, but then my journey, I never really believed in myself. I had a really low confidence since I can remember. And I remember always my parents saying it, oh, she doesn't believe in herself, she's not confident at all. And I kept repeating it to myself, it's like a negative affirmation in a way.
Yeah.
So I really got stuck in that story, I am not confident and, I don't really believe in myself. And I felt, I had this massive calling since a very young age that I wanted to help others. I wanted to be a therapist, psychologist, or a healer, anything really, just to help others.
Yeah.
But I didn't think I was capable of doing it, I didn't really believe in my own abilities.
Yeah.
So I ended up not even applying for psychology. I studied at grammar school
Okay.
and I had excellent grades, I loved subjects about psychology. I mean, in general, I had really good grades. But then I decided not to apply for psychology because I just didn't believe I was good enough. So I
Mhm.
gave up on my dream straight away. And, you know, now when I look back at it, I'm really grateful for it because it really shaped the way how I work with women now, because I mainly work with women. So I ended up studying something I didn't enjoy.
What,
Some
if I can ask?
I so it was my second choice university, which was German language and literature and linguistic.
Wow, very different psychology, for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
So it
But
really, actually, it really proves how we are growing up and how we are shaping our beliefs shape us,
even,
guide us, and what
yes.
people tell us that we are or we should be, or the way they see us, how it can really sort of turn out to be sort of breaking point at some point if we allow it to be.
Yes, definitely. And that's what I experienced in my first year at university, studying something I was passionate about it. I loved linguistic and I always enjoyed learning new languages. However, I settled for something less than I really wanted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point that year, really. And I when I applied, you are from the Czech Republic as well, and I know it's different in other countries, but you have entrance exams to every university. So I had both oral and written exam, and I was like the sixth best student that applied that year, out of hundreds. And even though I started and I felt like I was going to be found out, they are going to find out that I'm not good enough. I had this imposter syndrome really already back then, and I was so stressed and I developed severe psychosomatic issues. Really, from the
Mhm.
first day when I started, I moved to Prague and everyone was like, "Oh, that's the move." But no, I always loved being in Prague, and it was my second home, really. It was the fact that I was just so stressed out from every lesson, from every class. And I had, I was vomiting a lot. I had high fever. And, long story short, I went to see the doctors after a couple of weeks because, it was disabling me to do different things. And,
Yeah.
I was healthy. There was nothing wrong with me, but I was going through so many health issues that I had so many tests done. So it's not like one doctor saw me and they said, "Oh, actually, nothing's wrong with you." I had so many different tests done, and nothing was ever found. So then it made me think, is this actually going on in my mind? Is it something I have manifested for myself through my stress and anxiety? And yeah, and this is really when I started to study self-development, psychology. I started to do yoga and I learned about neuro-linguistic, and I used it throughout the year, and my life was changing, really. I became very calm, and in the end of the year, I actually felt confident enough to decide to quit that
Wow.
university.
So how long did
And
it take you? Did it take you a year?
yeah, a year. I did pass every exam, and I was waiting, until June, July. What am I gonna do? I don't want to go back in September.
Yeah, yeah. So it really proves how the longer we are stuck in limited beliefs and the longer we are doing something that we don't enjoy, that is not really benefiting us or fulfilling us, then the longer it takes to actually try and get the courage to leave it, make a change, and also work on ourselves to move towards what really fulfills us and makes us happy. Is that right?
Definitely. And when I actually discovered meditation, discovered it was a massive discovery for me. And my yoga teacher gave me this recording, and it was hypnosis for anxiety. And this is literally when I clicked on, and I was like, wow, this is just amazing. Because after I listened to it once, I just felt like a different person. And I knew that was my turning point, and I knew that I'm on a mission to study all of that and then share it with others. That's
Yeah.
that's when I realized that. But
Wow. How
again,
long?
Go on.
How long ago was that?
Um, it's probably 6 years ago, 7 years ago now.
Yeah. And how long have you been in the UK? Because you mentioned that we are from the Czech Republic. So I have to say, when you said I discovered meditation, yeah, it's so true. It's even, I kind of feel it, our part of the world, like, the place where I am from, the area, it's still kind of like meditation is a no-no. But, the benefits it can bring you, how it can really settle you and makes you feel calm, even though the world around you is spinning, 360 all the way around. It is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And I found it just profound, really. And I didn't know what exactly I was going to do with my life, whether I was going to become a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, or whatever. I didn't know. I wasn't clear on that. But I just, I started to observe all books and materials, everything, from Deepak Chopra to
Yeah, I love
my
him. Yeah,
yeah, me too.
yeah, he's
And,
great, absolutely great.
he really influenced me in the early stages of, my self-discovery journey, and yoga played a massive role as well. And I think it was my yoga teacher who really helped me to make the decision. Okay, I'm going to take a gap year because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I knew what I didn't want, and I
Mhm.
roughly knew which direction I wanted to choose, but I didn't know. And that's when I moved to the UK, actually, just for a couple of months, and it's been a couple of years.
That's what happens, doesn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Perfect. So I'm going to dive into actually more details about hypnotherapy and hypnocoaching. So can you tell us what exactly it is actually?
Yes, it's really interesting, and I think it's really important that we cover it because hypnosis is just surrounded by so many myths and misconceptions because, mainly due to the entertainment industry and due to what we see in media in different films and books. Hypnosis is like this magical tool when someone influences your mind or, they have power over you, because that's what we see in stage hypnosis and street hypnosis and in films. And people often think, it's something it's maybe something magical, maybe something, not out of this world, if you know what I mean. But actually, hypnosis is a down to earth therapy. It's a natural occurring state. We all go into that sort of state on daily basis. When you drive a car and all of a sudden you realize, oh, hold on a minute, I can't remember driving by this path, or I can't remember how exactly I got here. And because we get into like deep focus or a concentration, so really that's what hypnosis is. And um, a lot of people have been told you cannot be hypnotized by someone. They went to see someone, it didn't work, they did not get the results, and they've been told, oh, you are, you know, one of the 2% of the whole population that cannot be hypnotized. But actually, hypnosis is like a skill. It is something that can be improved, that can be practiced. And the more you practice it, the better you become at it. So it's really like going to the gym, you get better at it. In the beginning, you might find it harder. Some people don't, it that's not the rule. Someone will just find it really easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's really the way how you respond to positive suggestions. So when you are in hypnosis, obviously a hypnotherapist uses positive suggestions, different methods and techniques to help you overcome your issues. And I also combine it with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, because that's what I've been trained in. And I think they can really complement one another, as well as cognitive behavioral therapy, because, again, that focuses on, for example, mental imagery, mental rehearsal, which helps you in certain situations when you combine it with hypnosis. So I find it really powerful when you combine these things together. They really complement one another.
Nice. So how does it work? Tell us a little bit about how you work with clients and what clients do you have?
Okay, so I mean, in the beginning, in the early stages of my career, and even when I was doing my case studies, while I was still a student of hypnotherapy, because you have to see a certain amount of clients as case studies, that's for free, but still you treat them as proper clients. So already when I was doing my case studies, I have noticed like a pattern in all of my clients. I was mainly attracting female clients, and whatever problem they had, whatever issue they were dealing with, they it usually came down to their self-worth, to self-love and self-care and the way they viewed themselves. And they might have come to me with, let's say, procrastination or lack of motivation, but actually when we were, looking into it, we found out that actually she didn't feel like she was worthy achieving that goal. So on an unconscious level, she was self-sabotaging her goal, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was the root cause of her procrastination. And this is just an example. And then I realized I've been, creating specific hypnoses for those type of clients, specific materials, because my clients get tasks, they get assignments between sessions. So they really progress even when we don't work together, face to face. So I thought actually, there is a pattern. I'm attracting these type of clients, and when it comes to it, it's very often their own self-worth and self-love and self-acceptance. And that's when I started to focus on these type of clients, when I actually realized what my niche was, because in the beginning I wasn't sure what my niche was going to be. um, yeah, so I think this is how it started. And now I mainly work with women, and I mainly offer, like, my signature program really is focusing on self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, and self-love, and how it's stopping them to achieve their goals, how it stops my clients to achieve their dreams and, manifest. I also combine it with like an energetic approach, so to speak. Like, I believe in manifestation, and that what we focus on, we attract, or what we focus on expands. And so I use that as well in a combination with the other modalities and approaches.
Absolutely. That sounds so good. So I think, what about touching base on the issues, pardon me, the issues of the 21st century, because we live in the world where we want things now, and we are expected also to be kind of in touch with people straight away, which obviously can create pressure. And I feel that that pressure is growing. It's not only the expectations from others towards us, but also we have expectations from ourselves, and we can kind of be slipping away from the realness of the world, really, because of rushing through life too much. So, what are your thoughts about, let's say, mental health? Because I think it all comes down to mental health, really, and health and well-being. That's why we are here in the first place. So, what are your thoughts about it?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last sentence.
Yeah, just what your thoughts are about the mental health issues in the 21st
Okay.
century.
Yes, definitely. I think this is a very important topic, and it's really good we will mention it, because I think these days there is so much pressure on all of us. And I definitely see it in my clients. I've seen it in myself. These days, when we can, see social, pictures on social media, and we see so many different things, but what we see on social media is a highlight of someone else's life. And I find that my clients, my female clients, very often compare themselves and their life, to someone else's feed, on Instagram or on Facebook. And that doesn't really help. And, they are thinking, oh, is something wrong with me? And I think this is definitely a 21st century issue, because, this wasn't happening maybe 10 years ago as much, because
Yeah,
these
yeah,
days
yeah,
we,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
We didn't grow up with the technology being such a part of our life, did we? So
yes,
we had different priorities. We were more sort of living in the moment. But now people, because of the comparison, people kind of sabotage themselves, don't they? I don't have this, I don't look like this, but everyone's got a different story, don't they?
Definitely. And like you said, it's not very mindful either, You can procrastinate very easily, just scrolling down on your phone for hours, and you don't realize, and an hour, 2 hours are gone. And so I think that doesn't help as well. And living in the moment is important, is really important for your mental health as well. And you often see people sitting together and they are on their phones instead of talking. And, I have to say, I sometimes when I find myself doing it, I'm like, hold on a minute, put the phone down.
Yeah, yeah, the same. We are all guilty of it. But I think the difference it makes when you realize it and when you do something about it, because yeah, we are kind of really separating each other from each other basically. When we are on the phone, we are our mind is somewhere else with someone else. When the time that we have with the other person is right now, so it's really tricky, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, I cannot agree more. And I often find, and this is not from a place of judgment, not at all, because my therapist space is non-judgmental, honestly, and my clients can come with whatever, bothers them. But I've noticed in people I know, in my clients, that often what is posted, for example, on their social media is so far away from their reality. And, it's perhaps, and, I guess we all do it. Nobody wants to post like, oh, I'm having a rubbish day. But then, I think it's important to do it sometimes as well. So others actually see, she's not living just a glamorous life, like what you can see on social media, everyone's living the best life.
Yeah.
And but then I don't know how about you and in your work how you've noticed this. I've also noticed that women have this what I call like a Wonder Woman syndrome. You know,
Yeah.
there are so many different roles women adopt these days, and that creates a lot of pressure, doesn't it? Being a great mom, being a great businesswoman, being a great housewife, doing this well, everything, and it's just, to the point where you could break down, really.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. It's just when you talk to people, when they start sharing the stories, you really realize how precious the moments are and how much pressure we can really put on ourselves because we can't be the ideal and perfect vision of a woman or a man, it applies to men as well, because at the end of the day,
Yeah,
we are
definitely.
all human. We all have ups and downs, and yet we will never be perfect. All we can do is to try and accept each other.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I agree
Because,
with that.
yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So let's just go into the benefits of hypnotherapy and hypnocoaching. I know you sort of mentioned it a little bit, but really, when you go to the bottom of it, what are the benefits?
Okay, so hypnosis can treat a wide variety of different issues, of different problems, ranging from phobias, fears, anxiety, depression, even addictions, But I think it's really important that some people specialize in certain things more. Or pain management. That's something, that's very impressive application of hypnosis. I mean, pain management, it really demonstrates how powerful our mind is. People do surgeries in hypnosis, and anyone can watch it on YouTube if anyone who's watching is really interested. I think this really shows how powerful our mind is. And we don't use it that way, but it can be really powerful. So pain management is one of the things. Dentists often use hypnosis as well with pain, not just surgeries. So that's very impressive. Then sleeping disorders, problems with insomnia, that can be treated very well. Again, another very effective application of hypnosis. IBS,
Mm.
IBS again, very effective. Um, to a certain degree bipolar disorder as well, for example. Then, like I mentioned, confidence issues, performance issues, fears in general and anxieties. What else? Then forgiveness, if someone has got problems with, negative relationship with money, again, hypnosis could be used for so many different things, encouragement for encouragement, or stress in general, I mean, I call relaxation and stress relief is really like a side effect of any hypnosis, I would say, usually.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like when people do have fears from about certain situations, so that could be again, um, done in hypnosis and tackled really in hypnosis, and that's again a very effective thing.
Yeah. So there are actually quite a few benefits to it. Probably, maybe some people are. The reason why I wanted to have an interview with you is because there are so many people that have different preferences. And perfect, thank you, Richard. Hypnosis is a wonderful tool. Brilliant. Good to know. It is, yeah. And I would like to open up sort of other doors, other options to those that need help. Because, these days we live in the 21st century. So yes, there are downside of using the phones and everything, but on the other hand you can reach out for help anywhere, and it depends what you feel that aligns with you and your needs. That's how you can find the right person that can help you. So what you've just stated is really nice to actually have that list of things, because somebody who's been going through a lot of pain might actually think, I'm going to give it a try because I need help.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to really clarify it and give it a little bit of a shape so that people get clearer idea about what it is and how it works. So that's very good. Thank you so much, Stepanka. That's very
Yeah,
nice.
yes, definitely. And I I didn't mention everything. There are more benefits, more
Yeah.
different issues that could be treated. I've had a massive success story with one of my clients with hypertension, for example, high blood pressure. And that
Yeah.
was within 2 sessions. And that was just a massive success because he was hospitalized in hospital. That's how high the blood pressure was. And that was
Mhm.
just a massive success. Or even skin problems. Sometimes people don't think about these things. Gynecological problems, sexual problems, that all can be treated with hypnosis.
Wow. Yeah. So there is more and more and more to learn about it, really. So I guess it's the matter of, if people do need help, they can sort of reach out to you, call you, have a discussion with you, and see whether that's something they would like to go for. Is that right?
Definitely. Yes.
Perfect, brilliant. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it a little bit. So thank you so much for that. I think hopefully people got some information and understand a little bit more about what it is, that is nothing to be afraid of, is it? If anything, it can help you.
Yes. Hypnosis is a very safe technique. It is a very subjective experience, so different people would describe it differently. Everyone will experience it slightly differently. I mean, it's very important for anyone out there, and whether they choose to reach out to me or to a different hypnotherapist, always make sure, you need to trust that person. And it's really important to trust the therapist, because then you will benefit more from hypnosis. And this is also why it's so essential to educate your client about hypnosis and what it does. Because if they, on an unconscious level, still have some sort of a fear towards that modality, based on what they've been told in the past, they could be again self-sabotaging it on a certain level, or they might not relax as much, So it's really important to be open with your client, and whether they have any questions, always ask. I encourage to ask loads of questions. For example, my clients, they always get, before they book anything, they get like a PDF document with facts about hypnosis. So they can make they can make your mind up, and they can really have an opinion of what it really is.
Yeah, it
So
helps because then people feel they've been taken care of, and that they know what they're going into actually in the first place, which I feel it's always important. And you mentioned one thing, trust, because yes, we align with different people, we sort of warm up to different people. So that's why it's important to feel whether we actually connected with the other person or not, isn't it?
Definitely, yes. And I think that's why it's sometimes important just to have like a consultation first or just a little chat to see whether you actually resonate with this type of approach. Because what I have just told you about hypnosis might not be what all schools of hypnosis will say. Um, I have studied evidence approach, to hypnosis.
Mhm.
Um, so this, there are other schools that might be still, sticking to the fact that hypnosis is something rather magical. They might call it trance rather than, they might call it a special state of your consciousness. So there are still a lot of, let's say, even books that don't have correct information.
Mhm.
So do your research and just get in touch with the therapist, whoever that is, and just make sure that sort of approach really resonates with what you want to do.
Yeah, nice, very nice, perfect, brilliant. Well, I think we shared quite a bit. So I'm gonna ask you actually for your top tips for women. Now we're gonna be talking about health and well-being. I don't mind how you put it through, but let's start with ladies. How would you sort of say, what's your top tip for women, how to improve their health and well-being?
I think the same would apply to men as well, actually, what I would recommend to anyone really. I think you always need to start with yourself.
Mhm.
And you can't give from an empty cup, and your cup always needs to be overflowing rather than empty. And I see it a lot with women because, like I said, I mainly work with women, but again, this could
Mhm.
be a case of a man as well. So I think it does apply to both. Start with yourself and prioritize your own needs and wants, because a lot of people think, oh, this is selfish. She is selfish, he's selfish, he's spending a lot of time, for himself. I call it a me time,
Yeah,
your
right.
own me time. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, I think the opposite is selfish, because then you are not in the right vibration, you are not in the right state, and then you will actually impact your surrounding as well. So just to illustrate it and to make it clear for anyone who's watching, I worked with a client. She was a mom, and she was looking after the kids, after the husband. She was doing all the housework while working, and she was almost burnt out, really exhausted, and she wasn't prioritizing herself. There was no me time, no self-care whatsoever. And then I said, we need to work on this, and then she really did work on it. And then her relationship with her husband improved, and the same, she could actually finally enjoy a good quality family time. So that's why I'm using an example, because sometimes it illustrates, whatever that is more. And yeah, so I think that would be my tip. And another one, I think, which I think is really important, is don't be afraid to reach out for help.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that one because I think it's very important. And equally for men and women, I still think
Mhm,
that women are most likely to reach out
mhm.
for help
Yeah.
because they kind of feel a bit more. But men sort of struggle because it's still kind of a sign of a weakness or something like that, which is
Mhm.
not true. Because again, as I say, we are all humans, we all have ups and downs. And yes, when we push ourselves to the limits, we do need to reach out for help because we can't be asking questions and expecting the right answers from ourselves. We need to just let it flow out, and then the answers will appear, or the other person will help us and guide us to find them. But yeah, I'm pleased you mentioned that one. And I'm gonna say it's nice that you mentioned the self-care should come first for both, because when I worked with a couple, it was a busy family, and the father pushed it a little bit too far to the edge. And the certain events happened, and they started sort of when a married couple lives together, they raise the family, they run the house and everything else, they work on their business, blah blah blah. But it feels like they're kind of just running their own race. They're not connected,
Mm,
they're not having quality time together, therefore they're not having a quality time together as a family. So, I'm so pleased that you mentioned as the first one actually is a self-care, because there are more cases that I keep hearing where the marriages don't last, purely because people have not been really putting themselves first to look after themselves so that they can look after each other.
Mhm.
Because that's, as you said, the empty cup and the overflowing cup. That's what it should be, because then when that happens, you have more to give, which is always beneficial. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think,
Definitely.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I,
And
I
you
think, go on.
So I think you made a really good point also when it comes to men reaching out for help, because the suicide rate for men is much higher than for women. And that's, yeah. But actually, if any man out there or woman is listening to this, actually, I think to ask for help is a sign of strength. That you are strong enough to show your own vulnerability, that you are vulnerable and you are strong enough to ask for help.
Yeah. And I also would say that it's better to ask for help sooner rather than later, because the amounts of
Definitely.
people that have to go to doctors and ask for antidepressants, that's shocking. That's really shocking. And we are not only talking, this is the thing, that we are not only talking about youngsters, young generations that don't know how to cope with the pressure from the social media and the comparison that they are going through, but also the other generations, like our generations, sort of late 30s, mid 40s, or those that have families, those that are in a relationship, and they just kind of overlook issues that kind of appear, and then just say, oh, it's going to be okay, we're going to, time will pass, time will heal. The thing is, if it's deep inside and if it hurts something inside us, then we carry it and it builds up, and at some point it wants to come out. And that's the point where, when people sort of have to go and see the doctor, I think it should really be addressed much sooner.
Definitely.
It's
And yeah, I mean, some people might feel uncomfortable going straight to a doctor, or who do I ask for help? But sometimes the first baby step could be even to open up to a friend or to someone who you trust. I would say that could be the first baby step, if that's where you can, that's where you can start really. But again, there are so many resources, a lot in the UK as well, so many charities. So if you cannot afford, help of a private therapist, there are so many different places, different people, different organizations that can actually help. And I think that that's important.
absolutely. I think every country is kind of looking into it, and England is one of them. NHS offers some sort of help for free, which is always helpful. So yeah, it's definitely an issue that needs to be discussed more and addressed sooner. And yes, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but the strength that, I can do it, I need help, and I'm going to do
Yeah.
something about it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I am going to ask you about the very last question, which I've been sort of talking about it throughout our discussion, and that is, we are all humans, and of course you've got your ups and downs. So tell me, how do you deal with life challenges?
Sorry, I didn't hear it very well. Did you say how I deal with life challenges?
Yes, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
last question. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really important to have like a routine or like a practice in place. For some people that might be a spiritual practice of meditation or whatever that is. Everyone's got different preferences, or like a mindset routine or something that really helps you, because I think it's really important to do something for yourself on daily basis. It doesn't matter if you skip one day, but you get the point what I mean. Regular self-care, regular attention to yourself, I think is what really matters and what really makes a lasting impact in your life. It's great to go for a session somewhere, one-off session, but I think that's not gonna make, it's not gonna be a miracle. Might not change your life as you think, but what you do for yourself on daily basis, I think that's where it is, where the biggest impact is. And so I personally do like my own mindset ritual every single morning and in the evening as well. So I do meditation in the morning or self-hypnosis. Either
Mhm.
or both. Sometimes, like this morning, I did both a meditation and then self-hypnosis. And I love it. You know, I know in the beginning it might be hard to get used to it. What do I do? You know, it's something unusual. But actually with time it gets so much easier and then you just love it and you look forward to doing it actually. That's what I found. And that's something I have stick to for maybe the past 2.5 years now, you know, morning meditation. So that's something I do. And then I I use affirmations within one of the meditations, which I find are really good, like to boost my mindset, you know, to focus on what it is I want to do. And then I journal as well. You know, I have different things you know, I'm obsessed with journals, and I think journaling prompts can be really good way how you can self-coach yourself if you like, you know.
Yeah.
So if there is something that troubles you, I also keep like an evidence journal. And this is where I note down like little accomplishments, something, you know, that went well that day. And that's something I do in the evening. So before I fall asleep, I will write down at least 3 things, you know, that I'm really excited about that happened that day. And then I will set an intention for the following day. So when I'm falling asleep, I am thinking about that intention, or, you know, I'm affirming that intention, you know. So yeah.
Nice, very nice. Yes, I think there are quite a few tips for everyone, not just one. So yeah, perfect, brilliant. I can see the ladies have been writing to us, which is really nice. Laura has written, great interview, ladies. I trained alongside Stepanka, and she's a great hypnotherapist and a very caring and intuitive healer. Brilliant. You do the best medication and hypnosis. Perfect, brilliant. Thank you, ladies. Well, I'm going to take the opportunity actually because we have some viewers here to ask if you have any questions once we've got Stepanka here. So now is the opportunity to ask. So any questions you've got for Stepanka, please go ahead and ask. You can write them down and I'll read them out. And I am just thinking like, what would be the last thing that you would like to share with everyone? What would you like everyone else to remember about you before we sort of finish?
About
Maybe
me.
I haven't prepared before, so
I mean, you know, if there are any women out there, I also do free like rituals or women circles every month. That's something I do because I believe, you know, when women gather and when they support one another, you know, that's something really powerful, and it's like a lost art, if you like, you know, in today's society. And, you know, in the past, women used to spend more time together. They used to care for one another more. So there was that sort of like a support, you know, like a network of support. And this is really what I'm trying to recreate with my group for it to be like a safe space. So if there is anyone who would like to join, who would like to become part of the group, please join me. You can always reach out for help. There are other women who might relate to you. You know, it helps when you see someone else is actually going through this. I'm not the only one, and I think that's important to know. And also, I do like sessions where we meditate, where we set intentions for the upcoming month. So that's, for example, on Wednesday, today's Monday. So on Wednesday, we will be setting intention for the next month. Then we meditate and we visualize, because it's really powerful to mentally rehearse what you want to do, and then we set actions as well. So something that I do every month. And then we also do like letting go ritual, or like a circle, if you like. You know, it's all live on Facebook. There is a replay available. So again, that's another way how you can just look, you know, this is what happened in the past month, and I choose to let go of all those arguments, for example, negative thoughts, maybe an unwanted habit, you know. So I think this is like, you know, to do it twice a month, I think it really helps with mental health as well, to actually review what has happened, reflect on it, and choose what I want to keep, what I want to let go. So
that
yeah.
that is a very good point. Yeah, that is a very good point because we don't do it. We just sort of just live our lives, but sort of reflecting back is quite important. So I'm glad you mentioned it. we actually have a question, which is really good. Thank you, Richard. What is your favorite book? Either the therapy one or non-therapy?
Favorite book? Okay, so this is probably the hardest question because I am a massive book lover. I love books, and literally next to the computer, I've got 5 books that I'm reading at the moment. So this is a hard question. I mean, when I'm
Thanks,
reading a
man.
book, I always think, oh, this is the best book I've ever read, you know, because I
Okay.
get so I get so excited about self-development, and there have been a couple of books that really impacted my journey, but I just find it so hard to choose one. Um, I'm trying to give you some titles, but there are just so many. Uh, hmm. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I can't I can't give you one.
That changed
Hmm.
your life. Mention the one that changed your life.
Okay. So basically, what I mean by that, like when I started my journey and when I started to read about self-development, about therapies, about healing modalities, one of the first book that really helped me, and I was quite young back then, now I, for example, read a different type of literature. Back then, it was The Alchemist. That was something I really enjoyed, and that actually impacted me quite a lot when I was probably at high school, maybe, or the first year at university, not quite sure. Different yoga books as well, they helped me in the beginning with meditation. Um, what else? I enjoy very different books. I love fictions as well as non-fictions. At the moment, I'm reading a really good book I could share with you, but
Yeah, which one is it?
so it's actually, I'm sure you would enjoy it, Monica, as well, because I think that's brilliant for people that are healers, that are therapists, and it highlights the importance of, the energetic approach to therapy as well, and how to help actually our clients more, how to make a bigger impact. And that this book,
Mm.
it's written by Lenka Lutonska,
Is it
and it's
Czech?
called
Yeah,
the
is that the Czech lady?
No, she's from Slovakia,
Okay, yeah.
and so that's what I'm reading at the moment, and I'm literally it's all highlighted inside.
And what
That's how
what's it
good it is.
called? What's it
So
called?
it's actually energetic selling and marketing. And I know this might not sound like an interesting topic, but actually she really explains well, how everything is, made of energy, and how you can use it to improve your health, how you can help your clients better. So I'm reading it because obviously this helps me to work better and more effectively with my clients. However, she is a brilliant coach, a brilliant NLP coach, and her techniques and methods, everyone can really use them. So that's quite a mind-blowing book that I'm reading right now. It's quite a
Okay.
new release book.
Yeah.
And I also really like probably one book, okay, and then I'll stop because I could go on for ages. One book that really helped me is by Rebecca Campbell, Light is the New Black.
Ah, okay. That sounds good. Yeah. What is that about?
Yeah. So that is about really, refilling your own inner cup, like we've talked about this. And it is for people that, again, like they feel like, I have a bigger calling, I have a mission and I want to share it with the world. And, it can come with challenges. Like I'm sure when you feel like I just want to help everyone, it doesn't work that way. Like we said, we need to work on ourselves first. We need to prioritize our needs, and then we will help others even more, from that space.
I like that. Okay, so I've got 2 books that I need to get and read. Thank you very much. Richard says thank you for answering his question, which is great.
Sorry,
So
Richard, I
perfect.
didn't give you one answer.
There's never one answer. That's okay. Okay, perfect. So I am going to actually say massive thank you. Okay. because it's been really insightful. And for everyone else who's been watching, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions later, you can always send them to Stepanka or me. I can forward them. And leave us some comments how you feel about hypnotherapy, if you would give it a try, or if you maybe know someone who might benefit from it, because it's always good to bear people in mind. And you mentioned it, Stepanka, actually, that sometimes just opening up to a friend means that we are making that baby step towards getting help. And friends are great, but sometimes it's better to just be listening rather than trying to give advice. So, perfect. I'm going to really say thank you once more for joining me, okay? And I will share this video actually on YouTube as well so that more people can watch it. And remember, guys, to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because that's where we would like the audience to grow. That's where we can reach out more people. But starting with live interviews here on Facebook will be the next step as well. So thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for joining me, Stepanka, and enjoy your
Thank
evening,
you so
okay?
much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
All right.
having me,
Take
and
care.
thank you to everyone who tuned in.
Brilliant. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Have a great evening, everyone.
You
Take care for
too.
now.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.